text 15. Yam hina vyadayantete Purusham Purusharishava Samadukha Sukham Dhiram Somritattvaya Kalpate. Translation: O best among men, Arjuna, a person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. So here Krishna is talking about the eligibility for liberation. What is the eligibility? And so one of the thing is, we look at what Krishna says, steady. What has to be steady? What should he be steady? He should be steady in his prescribed duties. So whatever your situation is in life, you are steady in performing it according to the religious canons. So you must be steady. So if you can be steady, then you can also make advancement in spiritual life itself. So one of the criteria is determination also. That means you like it, but then you have to put the effort in every day. Just like every day we have to chant our rounds. So we put the effort in behind it. So that determination must be there. Another thing is, for spiritual life, the best time is the early morning hours. Particularly just before sunrise, if you get up, it is said that it is very conducive for meditation. That's why we always get up between 3:30 and 4 o'clock in the morning to take our shower and come here for the ceremony at 4:30 every single day. So then our mind is very much focused. Another reason why we do it at that time is also because the atmosphere, there's less disturbance in the atmosphere. Now everyone is getting up, there's more and more vibrations in the atmosphere. Not only that, but they also have cell phone vibration and all other vibrations. So that's why morning times are best. And if you cannot, because let's say you're having shift work or whatever, then the other time is good to chant is during the evening when everyone is quiet and settled down. That's the other good time to also chant or meditate or read scripture. So that's alternatives. So in both cases, one has to be steady. Whether you get up in the morning or you can only do it in the evening, you must be fixed and steady. Do it steadily, daily. That is called determination. And on top of that, one has to also be one has to tolerate basically other things that you can see that in ordinary circumstances disturb you. There are many things like that. It's like if you are, sometimes notice if you watch news, they say, caution, this is graphic. So that means it can disturb your consciousness. In the same way, if you want to practice spiritual life, you have to first make sure that things are peaceful for you in the beginning. Once you know how to control your mind, then anything that you see won't disturb you. In the beginning stage, yes, you practice. So Krishna recommends that one has to be steady. Therefore, it's important to be steady. And if you are steady, you become eligible for liberation from the bondage of material things. I want this, I want that, all those hankering will be there. But when you practice a spiritual life, those hankering will not become the mainstay in your life. And of course, you tolerate the difficulties. like you see in our own spiritual order, sometimes you see there's different types of, within the spiritual order you have the single man or single woman, brahmachari or brahmachari. And then you have the married couples called grahasthas. And then after marriage they retire, known as vanaprastha. And then there are people who take further higher order. It's called sannyas, completely renounce. So when one renounces, they have to tolerate a lot. In the beginning it's very difficult because they are used to one lifestyle and then suddenly they give up everything. So therefore everything must be practiced. And then he or she must tolerate so many things. No more living with the family, you're all alone, nobody, you don't know whether they care about you or not care about you. Only you depend on Krishna. And then people come and tell you all kinds of problems. That's what they do. Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, the light. So in the same way, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you shouldn't worry about your family members. You should tolerate this difficulty you're going to face to perform your duty. This is the main points that Krishna is again advising Arjuna to tolerate and perform your duty. If you can do this too, then surely you will be liberated. So when you do duty properly, then you understand why the duty is important, and then you get this understanding. It's based on knowledge. So jnana is developed through performing your prescribed duties. Ashato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sada, vayurapi drishtomtas, Bhavanayos tattvadarshini. Translation. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent material body there is no endurance, and of the eternal soul there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So here Krishna is quoting sages and others who have determined what is the difference between the body and the soul. Okay? So by they are studying the nature, they come and concluded that the material body is actually temporary. It's not eternal. Therefore, it is called non-existent. Understand? Whereas the soul is eternal, therefore it's existing. And so that which is temporary has actually no existence, no endurance. Whereas that which is eternal, it has no change. So the soul is always the same. So the difference between body and spirit is discussed. Even in modern science, the scientists will tell you that your body is changing every day. I don't say it's not. In fact, they have even stated that your cells in your body is replaced every 7 years. So if you look at it, whatever you have 7 years ago, that part of your body was developing, the skin or whatever. So it takes that long for it to die off, and then another cell will replace that. They're from near the bone, and then they move up, and then they come up here, and then they get slaughtered. So even modern science admits that the body is changing at every moment. Even recently, was it last year? In Edinburgh, England, Scotland, they did a study and they also said even the brain cells are changing. Previously they say brain cells don't change. Now they're saying the brain cells also change, then where is the memory? Right? Where is it stored? So we can understand that everything is stored with the soul. And even though the body, as we discussed earlier, the body changes from a child to adult, the person inside the body is never changing. It's the same person. So that describes the spirit soul. And of course, here Krishna says those who are seers of the truth, that means learned people, sages, rishis, people who actually take the task of trying to study about the body and the soul, even they also come to the same conclusion. That's what Krishna is saying. So they are all supporting. And then within the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Vishnu Purana. He says in the Vishnu Purana it is stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. Jyotimsi Vishnu Bhuvanani Vishnu. The words existence and non-existence refer only to spirit and matter. Okay, so the Prabhupada says that is the version of all seers of truth. Any questions? Okay. Now, if you are covered by material ignorance, which is what in general most of us are going through, that is the reason why we identify with our bodies, because of this covering. The soul is covered by different layers. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. It's covered so many layers. We are really trapped. Bound very tightly. More than that, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and ego. So these 8 coverings covers the soul. And it's not easy to get out of this. Only through devotional practice you can break through these coverings.
What are the 8?
Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. These same elements which cover you in this growth, it's also covering this entire universe in a subtle level. Same elements. So we are really packed tight. You cannot just run away. You cannot take a spaceship and get out of this universe. It's not possible. Stuck here. Impossible to get out. Actually impossible. The only way we can get out is through the mercy of Krishna and his devotees. Otherwise we are stuck forever. Literally forever. So this is what the more Maya does, or the more of ignorance, the material nature does to all of us. It covers us. So what do we, in general, if we don't have knowledge, what do? We identify with matter. Right? We identify with me, I, my family, my children, my house, my car, right? You may think no, but then if somebody knocks your car, immediately you come out and say, why you hit my car? Right? As if they have hit you, right? Because you identify with it. So this is called false ego. It's ignorance. Or the other extreme is, there are a lot of people who say they are God. I am God. A lot of people say I am God. So we are, as we already discussed, you know, God, why are you suffering also? That they cannot answer. So when you remove this ignorance, you re-establish your original relationship with the Supreme Lord. Okay? That is the internal relationship. We all have a particular relationship with Krishna. It is, for each and every one, it is unique. Because the Lord is infinite, He can have infinite relationship.
But I think it's difficult being kind of like we are leading to totally detach from our materialistic world.
In the beginning, yes. But if you practice,
but still we have to live, right? Unless we take sannyas and go to
you don't have to. Sannyas is a state of mind. It's not going to follow all. In the old days, you will go. But now it's more, you practice, your sannyas will be very simple. Get up in the morning, chant your rounds, read some Bhagavatam, or you come here every morning, then do some seva. After you take prasad, you go home, read something, or go to your friend's place, preach, and go home, cook for yourself, offer to Krishna, then take prasadam, evening come, do some more service, attend the program, go home, take rest. That is your sannyas. Don't bother with your grandchildren, raising your son's children or your grandson's children or like that. Don't bother. That's not your job. You've already done your job. You understand? You should understand that. Don't raise the kids of your kids. And then later on, if the kids don't grow up well, they'll blame you. Yes? It's a fact. I'm telling you, I've seen enough already. These things happen. We've really seen it, and in fact, they come to the temple. We had to mediate the grandparents, the family, and that's how the world is now. So, you should not get involved. But if you're retired, then you don't. You just make sure they are doing well. Give them blessings to progress. Talk some knowledge about how to improve themselves. That's all. Encourage them to study, go to a good school, get a good job, but don't be specific. Because life has become like that. If you are very specific and tell them you have to do, and if they screw up, they can even your own son or daughter can turn and sue you. This is America.
You will be held responsible. You will be held responsible.
Yeah. So you have to know how the situation is changing in the present society. So Krishna is teaching us, at a certain time in our life, actually according to scripture, from the age of 1 to 5, you are raised by your parents with love. All free, kid can do all, they tolerate. But after 5, strict. Raise the stick, but don't use it. But they must know it can happen. But you don't let the kid control you. So from 5 to 16, you are the parent and you're guiding them. Then from 16, you become like their friend. Then at the age of 25, they can get married if they want. And then that is their life. Then once you're done, on your own, at the age of, the scripture says 50 years old, you should retire. But like I said, insurance. Okay, alright, so fine. We accept that.
So now we go into 65.
Okay, that's fine, but once you reach 50, you should really seriously start focusing on chanting and all that. In fact, the earlier you do, Kaumaram, anyway, the point is when you are young, you should already know these things, not when you're older, because it may not give you enough time to prepare something. So the sooner you, most of you now are here, sooner you should embrace this so that you can practice in your life much better. So at the age of 50, for those who cannot, then you start taking it seriously, chanting, take initiation, things like that. Then later on, for some of us, or some of you, if you want to, you can take sannyas. Actually 50, they say you can take sannyas. But it is not recommended for everyone. Sannyas is for you to preach. We are not in that category of going around preaching, then you just stay as Vanaprastha. There's two types of Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means going to the forest. But in the modern day, where is the Vanaprastha? There's no forest anymore.
Concrete forest.
It's concrete forest. So therefore, your Vanaprastha is you stay away from your kids, don't raise their family, give them blessings or whatever, but then you talk about scripture. If the grandchildren come, talk about Krishna's pastime like that. Encourage them to worship. So that should be your preaching. Text 17. Abhinasitu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam Vinasham avyayasya Nakasyit kartumarhati. So here, translation, that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. This is the first time you see Krishna giving a definition of what the soul is. That which pervades the entire body. That means it is conscious. So the symptom of the soul is consciousness. Understand this? It's consciousness. Now, you can take any inanimate object, it has no conscience. We are not talking about exception to the rule. Sometimes in our scripture you can see the rishis can curse someone to become a stone. We're not talking about those kind of personalities. There are some personalities who are forced to take those kind of existence, but we're not talking about. In general, we are talking about inanimate objects has no consciousness. But of course you can say, well, the scientists have made robots, they are also inanimate, they can move, but then they don't have emotions. They don't understand feelings. They cannot converse with you in a dialogue. They don't know what you feel. They cannot be empathic. So these things you cannot program in a computer. It's all nonsense.
It's very hard to do that.
They will do all nonsense. But you will see, the machine is always a machine. If there's nobody behind it to power it or turn it on, it's just inanimate. It's a dead object. They will not be able to create an android or something that is so human, It's not possible. Because the feelings that you feel for someone cannot be even emulated by anyone else. What to speak of a machine? So that is the difference between a spirit soul and an inanimate object. So these are some of the understanding. Remember yesterday you can ask a robot to point itself, then you ask who are you, it doesn't even know what it is. It says it's a machine. Whereas we know, by pointing, we are inhabiting a body, a shell. We are like a ghost in a shell. Like that. So this is a symptom of the soul. Just like if I give you one drop of a very potent poison, very tiny drop, can you see it? You can't, right? But when you take it, it has effect. It will kill you. So the same way, the soul is so minute, you can't see it. You cannot X-ray or whatever. It is very tiny. But still, look how it can function the entire body. That is the potency. The soul is so tiny, but it can be in the body of a whale. Whale is the largest mammal, right, in the world. So you can see, even though it's so tiny, it has a potency to move. But if you try a robot, then you need more energy, more batteries, and so on. But we are, at the same time, we are trapped in this material nature due to our own ignorance, due to our own desire to lord over this material nature. We are placed here.
That is true for all living entities, not just human beings.
Not just human, all living. Human being, the level when you come to human being, it's an opportunity to get out. Otherwise you are trapped. So that's why the Veda says don't waste your human life. It doesn't say don't waste a donkey's life or a monkey's life. It doesn't say. Don't misuse the human. So if you misuse, then you get thrown into the cycle again. Now you don't see any dogs or cats sitting here discussing this philosophy. You don't. Because it's not possible. The consciousness in that body doesn't allow it to think about all these things. At that level, it's only thinking of ahara nidra vayam maituna, means eating, waking, sleeping and defending. Whereas only in the human form you can talk philosophy and try to understand. That's the difference. Of course you can put a parrot here and he can imitate whatever you say, but what is the value when he doesn't understand? Right? Prabhupada was saying, you can teach a parrot to chant Hare Krishna, then he'll chant all the time. But when the time of death, he'll just go, ah, and then he'll die. So see, he doesn't understand what to do, it's just fearful. Fear will take. Whereas a human being, we understand how to control ourselves, our nature, how to practice, and then our focus our mind. We will know how to do all this. Okay, if you look at the last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada gives another interesting discussion. Such atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. That means we are atomic, all of us. In the sunshine there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord called by the name Prabha or superior energy. So which means we are the tiny spark, soul in the Lord's effulgence. You know, the Lord's Brahma Jyoti. We are the tiny sparks who make up that effulgence also. We are part of that effulgence also. So whether one follows Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of the spirit soul in the body, and the science of soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad-Gita by the personality of Godhead, in this case, Krishna himself. Alright, let's continue. Now all these are giving the characteristics of a soul from verse 12 onwards. We're going. So different characteristics are highlighted. Text 18. Antavanta ime deha nityashyokta sharirina anashino prameyasya Asmad Yudyasva Bharata. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. So again, Krishna's point is, the body is going to deteriorate and destroy. That is a given. So why are you lamenting for someone's body? That's his point. He's using like logic. You were?
Yes.
Okay. Testing
Hare
it?
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, just test.
No, the switch is there. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
So the main idea here is the soul be destroyed or killed. As far as Arjuna is concerned, the soul he's going to kill his grandfather, and he's going to okay. The soul cannot be killed and the body cannot be saved from destruction or death, no matter what. Prabhupada also discusses in one lecture. He said he was present there when he was in Calcutta. He said one very wealthy person became very sick, and so he's dying. So he told the doctor, "Oh doctor, please do something. Give me 4 more years. I got so many things." And the guy just died anyway. So you can't prolong your life, even if the doctor is the best doctor. If you're meant to die at a certain time, you will die. You cannot prolong and then think that you can do something. We all think like that, right? No, I'll accomplish it tomorrow. But tomorrow may never come. Particularly for something that is in our understanding, if something is which will give you good fortune, you shouldn't wait. They say, right, something like that. What's the saying in English? If lady luck knocks on your door, don't wait. In the same way, if you have something that's good fortune, don't abandon it and thinking you can pursue it some other time. So just like all of you are here, you are all fortunate. Brahmande Brahmati Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Bhakti Lata Beach. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says the living entity is actually traveling in a circle, birth, death, old age, from one planetary system to another planetary within the Brahmanda. Brahmanda is the universe. And then Kona Bhagyavan Jiva, the Jiva, the spirit soul, becomes fortunate when he meets a person who can give him Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasade Bhakti Lata. So the mercy of the Guru who gives Krishna. So by the mercy of Krishna you will get a Guru. And by the mercy of the Guru you will be delivered to Krishna. That is the understanding. Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasada. Yasya Prasada Nagati Kuto. Understand? By the mercy of the Guru, by Krishna's mercy we come to the temple or we associate with devotees. And then by the mercy of the devotees we get Krishna. It's not that you on your own can get Krishna. No. The system is set up that we have to learn to become humble and give up our own selfish thinking that I can do it myself.
Are all the souls the same? Are all the souls equal?
All the
souls equal?
What do you mean?
We talked about the souls being covered by various layers.
Yes.
And
so every individual is covered by similar layers. Yeah.
So in this case, Krishna is telling Arjuna that all the people like Bhishma, Drona, and all these people, they are more like souls. Yeah. But isn't it that they are covered with that knowledge, and then isn't it that knowledge will go away?
Covered with the knowledge?
The intellect as well as the mind.
Well, if your intelligence is material intelligence, then it's useless, no? If it's spiritual intelligence, then it's useful.
But Krishna has spiritual intelligence.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Well, in Bhishma's case, at this point Krishna is arguing on the point of a body. You say, why are you lamenting for his body? It's good for him to die, he's an old man. If he dies, he will get a new body. That's the logic behind it. You understand? Remember, he's arguing on jnana, and then you go into karma and so on. So he's arguing on that jnana platform. This is knowledge, he's saying. Like logically, why you worry about this? Sometimes when you argue with people, you have to argue according to the level they can understand. So Krishna is covering all the bases. Logic, scriptural, and duty, and all those different areas he's touching on. So, so that's continuing. So it's indestructible, immeasurable, eternal, living entity, but the body is going to come to an end. The soul is indestructible. You can't measure it, you cannot destroy it. And if you understand this, Arjuna, so don't be afraid to fight. Don't be afraid to fight. So this particular verse is emphasizing the nature of the soul. And also we understood from the previous verse that each individual has its own consciousness. It's not that we all have a universal consciousness. Not you think and I know what you're thinking like that. It's not like that. You have your own consciousness, I have my own consciousness. But our consciousness comes together when we try to serve Krishna. And this consciousness is what we are experiencing. In terms of when somebody hits you, say it's painful, or when you run so much and you get tired, pain, back pain, this. So it's the soul that can perceive all these things. If you have no conscious, for example, if somebody is very much in deep sleep, so the consciousness withdraws inside. So even when you hit them, they still sleepy. But once they are more awakened, then when you hit, they can feel it. Generally, a person is sleeping, the best way to wake him up is with a loud noise. Because the sound can travel further than when you are taking the
Cold water.
Cold water. Yeah, it takes a while, but loud sound usually makes. When we were young, we used to do that to our siblings. But the one that irritates the most is noise. Of course, water also makes it difficult. But yeah. So you can feel your own pain, your own pleasure, but you can't feel the pain and pleasure of another person. But you can have empathy. If you're very sensitive, you can understand how a person is suffering. Now, according to Svetasvatara Purana, Upanishad, and then it is said the size of the soul, one is 110,000. Take the hair, and then the tip of the hair, you divide it into 10,000 portions, and that is the size of a soul. Actually, you can't measure the soul. It is for our, because we are all in this material world, we need something gross to, zone in. Otherwise, we cannot accept things. So the scripture gives us a proper understanding. This is in relation to the Supreme Lord, that we are like 1/10,000, we are atomic, basically, atom. We are on that level, whereas He is infinite. Yeah. So that is the proper the size of the soul. And it's, so this spiritual atom is smaller than the material atom. Okay? So you cannot really see in an electron microscope or whatever. That's why it's very difficult for them to use a gross instrument to some kind of X-ray machine to see the soul. It's not possible because they don't have the technology to indicate the soul. It's on a different level. It's higher than the earth, water, fire, air, ether, intelligence, mind, intelligence, and ego. It's even finer than that. Much finer. That's why they cannot use any material instruments to measure the soul.
Even though it has been experimented that when a person dies, and if his body is like enclosed in with some kind of material with that's like vacuum, and when the body dies, then the soul leaves. So there was some kind of sound or something. So that made scientists realize that there is a soul. It exists when a person dies.
There are experiments like that. There's another experiment where they say they found there was a slight, very, very slight level of mass changes in the live body and the dead body. So there are experiments. Yes.
Where this soul resides in our body?
Where?
This soul resides in our body.
Yes.
Where?
Yes.
Okay, I'm coming to that. After the next point is this soul resides in the region of your heart. So the heart is there. So it's you can say it's inside the heart, but it's on a different dimension. But it's existing there in that heart. Therefore, if you feel good, the whole body is happy. If you feel bad, the whole body is sad. So the soul is there, sending the energy through the heart. And the Paramatma is also there. There's the Supreme Lord with you. So he's there trying to tell you to turn around and follow him, but we are too ignorant to follow his instruction.
The soul assumes the form of a body.
The soul, it doesn't assume the body, the form. It thinks it is the body.
So once the soul relinquishes the body,
yes.
So the type of karma or the knowledge, wisdom that is acquired while within that body.
Yes.
So is it going to be followed?
Okay. This is on later chapters, but since you're asking, when within this life you're also developing another body at the same time. It's called subtle, and this is based on your karma also. So you have karma, which is also like little kids walk around with a balloon, right? You've seen the helium balloon. So you carry one balloon, which is your karma, another balloon, which is your subtle body. So what happens is, when you are, whatever consciousness you are developing, that is already now creating your next body. That is your subtle body. So if you think like a pig, you like to eat all kinds of nonsense, then your consciousness is developing like a pig. So your subtle body is actually assuming a pig form. So when you die, the soul goes to a place where the Yamaraj, with his associates, they will force you to take this subtle body, the pig body. So they will evac you for all the sin you do, punish you. You are beaten until you lose and you say, yeah, I'm a pig, and then the next thing you go on. And you take the body of a pig and you become a pig baby, and then grow up as a pig boy, and a pig girl, and a pig adult, and then that's how it is. And then from the pig body, then you go higher and higher consciousness. So from a pig, you may become a higher animal. It is said like a cow or a monkey or a lion, or they are on a slightly higher. And from there, monkey represents mode of ignorance, lion or tiger represents mode of passion, cow represents mode of goodness, like that. Then after that you take a birth as a human being. This cycle will go on as long as you have material desires. You cannot escape. It's a perfect system. The Lord is perfect. So his prison, this is called Durga. The material world is called Durga. Durga's realm. So Durga means fortress. She is the warden and she is holding the fort, and you are the prisoners. So we are suffering under her. So the only way she lets you go is you take up Krishna consciousness. That's her job. She is doing it as a service. Her service is to help Krishna keep this independent and free thinking and trouble-causing living entities in this material world. So you know now quite a lot of information. It should be an impetus for you to get out from this material world. So don't think you want to come back as some big shot or something. There's no such thing as big shot in this world. Everyone is suffering. Alright. So these are references are in the Mundaka Upanishad. This is all in the previous verses. Verse 17. So I'm just going over them. So even in modern science, they say the heart is the main organ. When it pumps the blood, the oxygen to different parts. So that's where the soul is, within your heart region. And the soul is surrounded by all the prana, the life force and air. So it's like an atomic generator. It gives all the energy for the prana and everything to function. Under the sanction of the Paramatma, who's also within the region of the heart. And that's where your desire comes. You think that the Lord understands your desire, and then He allows you to, the demigods will then take over and move your hands. Like that. So every aspect of your body is controlled by a particular demigod. That's 33 million demigods. So if you want to worship demigods, then you have to make sure you worship 33 million. Otherwise, if you miss one of them, they'll be very angry. So, but best is to worship Krishna, because they are all serving Him. When you worship Krishna, you automatically please the 33 million demigods. Yeah, it's like in the presidential, right? He's the president and he has a cabinet of ministers, and then they have their own departments and all kinds of, so many people are working for them. The same in this universe also. There's demigods who are actually the administrators of the universe. But they all report to Brahma, who reports to Krishna. The hierarchy is the same. It's always a hierarchy. There's always an authority. You have some question?
I was thinking, when you say there are like 33 billion demigods and they report to Brahma and to Krishna, where Lord Shiva is actually?
Lord Shiva, as I said the other day, he is not Jiva, he is not Vishnu. He's in between. His role is special. Like before the creation starts, he helps the Jiva come from the spiritual side to the material side. So he has a special role. And then he also helps other living entities. For example, ghosts, demons, Rakshasas, those people, the Asuras, the demigods don't want to take care. So he takes care of them. He is very merciful, Ashutosha. So he has a role also, a very important role also he plays. So he plays a very major role in the creation. So in that sense, because he brings the living entity from the Mahavishnu into this universe, he is representative of the linga, and then the yoni is the material energy. So in that sense, a lot of people think they are the source of the creation, but it's not. Yeah. They play the bridging from the matter, from spirit to matter. It's all there. As you come to the Bhagavatam and all, it makes very clear their roles and so on. It's not just someone very actively think a story out and write all these things. Yes?
If we say that our body is controlled by 33 million demigods, if we do anything wrong, is it that any of the demigods did that wrong?
No, you are desiring it. They will only do whatever is sanctioned by the Lord, right? So even if you do wrong, the Lord sanctions it. But you are responsible for your desire. Yeah, don't think you can push the button, pass the button, right? It doesn't work like that. You are deciding. That's the free will. That's your free will to decide. So everything is coming from the region of the heart. All the energy, everything for you.
What is the difference between soul and consciousness? Are they one and the same thing?
In the spiritual sense, in the spirit level, the soul, consciousness, mind, everything is one. Now in a material body, the mind is different from the soul.
Consciousness exists in the mind.
Consciousness doesn't exist. Consciousness is the soul. Yeah. In the material body, your mind is different from the soul, because it is also an element for the body. You know. Intelligence is also in the spiritual sense, everything is one. The intelligence is the soul also. The mind is the soul also. The soul is Sachin, Ananda Vigraha. Everything is spirit in nature. Okay? But when you take existence of the material body, all this becomes separated. I will talk more about it later on, but now let's not go too much with this mind. And in the 7th chapter, before I leave, I'll talk about mind, intelligence, and all this, to give you a better idea. Okay. So, like I say, in the modern science, they say the heart is the seat of the energy, and they also see how the blood brings the oxygen to different, and the food and all, but they don't know where is this energy, the source of the energy coming from. They don't know why the heart is continuously beating. They cannot tell you that, right? When the heart stops sometime, and even with all the electrical fibrillator, defibrillator, why they can't get it to jumpstart? Why you can't, right? Or even if a person is dead because his heart failed, he's dead, can you put another heart and then revive it? It doesn't work. They have to make sure the guy is alive first, then they have to put the heart in there. Otherwise it doesn't work. So the soul, once it leaves the body, you cannot revive the body. Impossible. Not possible. You cannot reanimate the body. Unless you are such a powerful demigod, then you can pull one jiva and then say you go in the body. But we are not in that level. We are not in that category. So we can't do that. Right? If you read the pastime of Chitraketu in the 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the life of Srimad, he had a son. He was married to 10,000 queens. He had one son. But the other 9,999 queens got envious of this one queen. So they poisoned the baby. And the baby died. So they were all lamenting and crying. So then at that moment Narada Muni comes. And then they were just crying and lamenting. So then Narada Muni tells the dead boy to get up. Your parents are here. So the boy gets up. But then you say, who's my parent? Which parents are they? I've had so many parents for so many different lives. Then the Chitraketu then realizes this is a fact, because the soul goes to different bodies. So actually I'm not really his parent. Only for this life he is that body, I'm supposed to take that charge of that kid and so on. And so he gets realization. From there he takes up the process of Krishna consciousness seriously. And then ultimately he goes back to Godhead because of that incident. It jokes him up. But my point is, only people of that power like Narada Muni or Lord Shiva or Brahma can revive someone if they so desire. But otherwise nobody else can. Okay. Once the soul leaves, that's it. Om Tat Sat. Yayenam Vetti Hantaram
Yayenam Vetti Hantaram
Yaschainam Anyate Hatam
Yaschainam Anyate Hatam
Ubau Tau Na Vijanito Nayam Hanti Na Hanyate. The soul, neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is slain. It's like playing with words. But basically, if you think you can kill somebody, you're not thinking straight, because you're a spirit soul, the other person is spirit soul. So actually you can't kill the person. You can only destroy the body. So that's one of the point here. Therefore he says, neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer. So you don't think you are also doing the action, nor he who thinks it is slain is in knowledge. Because the soul in the heart is only desiring. He is not physically coming to kill the other person. Okay? So that is what the idea behind it is. So therefore, the point to understand here is, living entities, again, the same point, never kill. Same emphasis is given, Krishna is emphasizing to Arjuna. He wants him to understand. And then he says, when the body is hurt by weapons, the soul is not hurt actually. It cannot be. It can feel the pain, but it's not destroyed, it's not killed. Okay? And with material weapons, you cannot kill the soul. Because the soul is spiritual. So it is indestructible also. But if Krishna wants, he can do it, but not us. But because he also says in the beginning, never was the time when you did not exist nor I, which means he is not going to destroy us also. So you can be, take a relief and breathe safely. Oh, okay. It's still chant. So that's why the Lord is always waiting for us to go back to Him. That's how much love He has. It's not like He's condemned you forever in eternal hell, in a blazing fire. No. What's the purpose in creation then? You understand? If I create something, it must have some use for me. So the Lord created us so that we will serve Him eternally. And if we don't learn, then He'll keep us going through this cycle until we become intelligent enough to say, why am I suffering here? I should get out and go and serve Him. So much easy. Life is more meaningful. Like that. So therefore, point here is the soul is so infinitesimal, so small, you cannot use any material weapons to destroy it. Not possible. And also, it is spiritually its constitution is spiritual. You can't kill it. So then Srila Prabhupada says, this is kind of interesting. Let me see. In the middle of the purport, he says the Vedic injunction is Mahingshyat Sarvabhutani, means never commit violence to anyone. Okay? So it's very important. As a living entity or a living person, we should never commit violence to another person. Generally, we think violence is physical, but you can also be psychological violence also you can do. Or you can shout at people, you can belittle people, all this are violence on a different level. So we shouldn't do any violence to anyone. We should be very careful. Nor does understanding the living entity is not kill encourage animal slaughter. Right? So some people say, so I'm not really killing, I'm only taking the body, but you have no right to stop another living entity's karma. Understand? You know what I'm saying? Each living entity has a specific time in a specific body. So that's the karma he or she is supposed to go through. So let's say a lamb or a sheep. So it has maybe 4 or 5 years of life, or I don't know, 10 years, whatever. But if you go slaughter it to eat, that jiva, his karma is to live in an animal body for 10 years. But you killed it when he was 4 years old, that means he still has to, mathematics, what? 6 more years. So he has to take birth again. So you had no right to interrupt in his karma. That is the point. We have to be very careful. Even when we step on an insect or kill, you are actually interfering in their karma. But of course, if that insect is biting you, then you have the right to protect yourself. And the mosquito, if it's just flying, then don't bother. But as soon as it bites you, then you can retaliate. For that it allows you. It's very, you have to understand, karma is very, very complex. Very complicated. So don't think you can bypass it, no way. It's like a web. You get stuck in one, you think you escape this, you fall into another web. Like the spider's web. It's very sticky. So karma is like that. And sometimes you don't even understand. A karma you may be experiencing now is coming from maybe 10 billion lives ago. So you don't know why, but it happens like that. We can never understand this. Yeah, if you become a devotee, the karma is taken away by Krishna when you surrender to him. So that's why we encourage people to take up the process so that you don't have to worry about your past karma.
How about cutting plants and vegetables, like...
Yeah, okay. So very good point, good question. How about fruits and vegetables that we are eating because we are vegetarian? Jiva jivasya. Every entity is food for another entity. So for human being, our food is grains, vegetables and fruits, milk product like that. But we don't just kill and eat. We prepare it and we offer it. So when we offer to Krishna lovingly, Krishna removes the karma. And then you are eating prasad. So when you go outside or on a trip, you just go to the subway and then eat some vegetable or whatever. That's a lot of karma.
But you can offer there also, right?
Yeah. You can if you are really stuck. So you can offer. But then remember, you don't know what garbage they put in that sandwich.
But how will you live?
Yeah, exactly. So my point is, you be practical and offer everything that you can. And ask for forgiveness also if there is some contamination, because sometimes you don't know. What Krishna is saying is, are you sincere enough to want to be pure? Right? That's what he's looking in your actions. Not that you like, I know that, so Krishna won't know, I'll offer it. How is that? He's in your heart, he knows as soon as he thinks. So you can't do that. So whenever you do not know and you have to eat, let's say you have diabetes and you have to eat because of sugar problem, or you get gastric and you have to eat and you don't know, somebody gives you a cookie and you don't know whether it's got some animal product or not, and then you're really suffering, then you just say, Krishna, please help me out here. You never know, maybe someone else will come and say, here, I'll give you something better. You never know. But that sincerity is what Krishna is looking for. Yeah. Okay, so it is not a license to kill. Oh, your spirit soul, I'll kill you, boom. Because I'm not really killing. They'll quote this verse. Neither he who thinks the living entity is slain, nor he who thinks the slain is knowledge. For the self slays nor is slain. It's a good verse for all the crooks in the country. But it doesn't work. It's not a license to kill. So you can't take this and say, I hate you, I'm going to kill you. No, you are then bound in that sinful activity. So the point is, killing the body of anyone without authority is abominable. It's not accepted. But for example, if you go to court cases, the murderer is sentenced to death by the judge. Okay. but he is authorized to give that punishment. And then the person is executed. Because the person who executes him is also authorized by the state and so on. So in that circumstance, the law of karma doesn't apply to them. I mean, there is some karma for doing that kind of job anyway. But the point is, they are not responsible. They are only executing their duty. Okay? Yeah.
Then why Krishna asked Arjun to kill his family members for land and property?
He's not saying for land and property. He's talking about dharma. Remember, they have crossed the lines of decency already, and they are trying to kill the Pandavas and did so. So they are punishable by death anyway, and they are misrepresenting Vedic culture. So a Kshatriya is supposed to uphold Vedic culture. If someone goes out of Vedic culture, in those days a Kshatriya will chop their head off. That's their job. Huh?
Prabhupada explains it in the next line. He says, Arjuna, however, being engaged in killing for the principle of religion.
Yes.
Not whimsical.
Exactly. Yeah, so let's continue. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing for the principle of religion and not whimsical, as Prabhu was pointing out. So that is what we need to understand. Huh? That this should justify his killing, not otherwise. So Kshatriya has a reason to kill, not because they feel, oh, I got nothing else to do, let's pick somebody and kill. It's not the case here. Okay? Text 20. Yeah.
So the terrorists, right? I mean, primarily
Yes.
Islam terrorists. Their philosophy is that the previous sentence, they might be against the law of the state, but their belief is that they are following the law of the Lord. I mean, that's how they justify.
But actually they
They're
are not.
basically saying that Muhammad is asking him.
No, actually you speak to 10 different Muslim people, they'll give you 10 different answers. Actually, it's not in their Quran like that. It doesn't say. These are
misinterpretation.
These are made up by the imams themselves. They come up with all this understanding on their own. They say that if you do it for Islam, if you take a jihad and you die, you blow yourself, then you are given, when you go to the heaven, they talk about heaven only, not even the spirit world. That if you blow yourself up and kill the infideles, you will be given, I think, 1 million virgins to enjoy in the heaven. What is this? Right? It's just, when you think about it, it's like, what is this? It just doesn't make sense in some way. What is that enjoyment? And then in 16 minutes, they had this interview with the lady who was going to blow herself. They said for the men, they're getting 1 million. And then what do you get? And this is what she answered. I will be the most beautiful of the 1 million virgins. And I'm like, what? It doesn't make sense, So this is how they concoct and do that. But it's not in their Quran. In fact, Muhammad says the real jihad, after he conquers Medina, right? He conquers Medina, and when they're riding back, he says the real jihad is in your heart. So you change your nature, he says. Of course, he used force to establish Muslim religion. But at the same time, he emphasized the real thing is to change one's nature. That is the real fight. This is not the real fight. People concoct, especially that group. In fact, you cannot make head or tails with them. They will kill you first.
Last question on the souls and then the consciousness. Do the plants have consciousness and
yes,
souls?
as I said, the lower the spirit soul takes the lower forms of light, the consciousness is much lesser displayed. But you can see the plant will move towards the sun. They made an experiment I read where they played heavy metal music to the plant, and then another plant they played classical songs. So the one with the classical songs was growing very nicely. The one that had the heavy metal was all dying. We can understand also heavy metal is not good for us. It's not the mode of goodness. So, but they did experiments and it's interesting if you really look at it carefully from a spiritual point of view. Even the living entity in the plant cannot handle certain things. So yeah, it has consciousness but it's very limited. But if you read the Bhagavatam, in the previous yugas, particularly in the beginning of creations, there were plants and trees that could move. But you can't see them now. If they were moving, I'm sure the American government will put it in Area 51 and do something with it. It's like that. But yeah, so let's go to text 20. Najayate vriyate vakadachin Nayam bhutva bhavita vanabhulya Ajo nitya shashvato yam purano Nanyate hanyamani shadide. Okay, this is another characteristic of the soul. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. So he doesn't take birth, he's always existed. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being, which means he's always existed. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So again, this is a characteristic. Some of this seems repetitive, but you should understand, no? Particularly nowadays, if you tell someone one time, they forget. You tell them 2 times, they forget. 3 times, maybe something they remember. So in general, we emphasize the same thing 2-3 times. Huh? Just like in any presentation you go, they will say first of all what they are going to talk about, then they talk about, and then they conclude the same thing. They will say, this is what we talk about. Because in Kali Yuga, our brain is so fallen, we are fallen, so we can't remember. So you emphasize so many times that, oh, okay. Even after that, some people will say, when did you tell? That's how fallen we are. So you see, this thing is repeated in different way, the same things Krishna is mentioning, so that Arjuna, actually is for us, so that we can get the message that the soul is eternal, unborn, eternal, ever existing. And primeval means from the very beginning it's existing. There's no record to say this is the first time the soul was created. No such thing. It's always existing. Okay? Because we must understand, in the realm of spiritual world, there's no such thing as time. It's always eternal. So regardless of at which point the souls were created, it is still existing eternally. Okay? Time is only relevant in this material world. Right? For tomorrow, if you and I die, then what is for time doesn't make sense for a dead person in that sense. Time is only relevant as long as we exist in this material world.
Time and space, right?
Time and space, same. Okay, so then qualitatively, as Prabhupada says, quality-wise, we are same, spirit. We are Satchidananda. Krishna is also Satchidananda. Qualitatively same. Just like you can take a drop of ocean, you put it in your mouth, it tastes salty. So that quality is the same. But in terms of quantity, the drop of water is only a drop of water, but the ocean is infinite. Like that. So that's how we are compared to the Lord. So we are nobody in front of the Lord. Therefore, our only salvation is to serve Him and get His mercy. So the soul is always a constant thing. Throughout this Bhagavad Gita, understand this soul is a constant, whereas the body is temporary. Body is a temporary element. That also we have to understand. Because I said, like I said yesterday, as soon as you go home, you forget that you are the spirit soul. Right? You become who you are in the old sense. So, by practicing devotional life daily, you will understand that I am a servant of Krishna. You don't think of yourself as I am this person. You will think I am a servant of Krishna who has a wife and children, or who has a husband and children. You will think that. And then you will see your children as servants of Krishna. You will see your wife as servants of Krishna. Then you will think I have to serve the servants of Krishna. So the whole thing changes, the consciousness changes. The way you see things will change. Okay. So body, whereas the soul is a constant, the body changes. And there are 6 things that happens to a body, which you know refers to a body and not the soul. The first thing is birth. The body is born, birth. And then secondly, it grows. Then it maintains or sustains. Then it dwindles. As it gets old, then finally it dies. So these are the 6 phases that the body undergoes. Birth, growth, then it sustains, and the one more thing I forgot is byproduct. It produces a byproduct, and then it dwindles and it dies. So if someone asks you what is the difference in body and soul, this is the difference between body and soul. Body can do all this, the soul can't do that. Even if you develop a machine, the machine cannot develop small machines that grow into big machines. Of course, they will try to do that also. They will do that using nanotechnologies, but then it won't work. So whereas the soul here, as Krishna says, kutastha, that means it's always steady, it doesn't change. It doesn't undergo anything. So kutastha, never change. So we know, practically we know that the soul is the same, because you know that you are a young girl and now you have the older, much older body. So you know, as a soul you are the same person, but the body keeps changing. So it's a practical example. You don't even have to experiment. You know it using your own body. So there's a lot of things Krishna, Prabhupada says, the soul doesn't get old, it doesn't change, it doesn't deteriorate, there is no byproduct, all that I said that. And then, whereas just after that Katha Upanishad paragraph, Prabhupada says the soul is full of knowledge, or full always with consciousness. The knowledge the soul has is complete actually. The reason why we can't understand is because we are covered by the material energy. Okay? Because we are covered, we cannot reach out to that knowledge. And that knowledge will only be revealed when we are spiritualized in our consciousness. Then we have access to that knowledge. Just like some database files are protected files, right? You cannot access unless you have a certain qualification or access codes. So the only time you can qualify access code is when you are either promoted or some special case. So similarly, the soul cannot access this knowledge until it has become purified or it has given access code by the mercy of Krishna. That's how it is. That's full knowledge. So you have full knowledge, but this knowledge is covered in the moment. It's covered by our previous actions, our karma, and so many other nonsense we have done. So we are not capable or able to understand it. Right? So we talked some of this already. previously. Soul is either two types of soul. The Anu, we are all Anu, infinitesimal, and Krishna is Vibhu, infinite, or the super soul. And in the last paragraph, Prabhupada writes from the translation, both the super soul, Paramatma, and the atomic soul, Jivatma, are situated on the same tree of the body, within the same heart of the living being. And only one who has become free from all material desires as well as lamentations can, by the grace of the Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul also, as it will be disclosed in the following chapters, and Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. Therefore he requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by his bona fide representative, the spiritual master.
Confusing. So he said that we are the soul, we are not the same as Krishna.
Yeah.
Like the soul and the super soul. But over here Prabhupada is saying both the super soul and atomic soul are situated on the same tree of the body.
Yeah, the body, your body. In this body, your soul is there. Next to your soul is the super soul. He is there as the witness and guiding. Understand?
So they are separate things, but
they exist. Yes. See, I did mention it several times, but you're just getting it today.
So this goes back to yesterday's discussion where we said Atma and Paramatma are the same.
Quality wise same, but they are both individuals.
Atma is your soul?
Atma is you.
But what is Jiva?
Jivatma is more definitive state. Generally in the Vedas, when they say Atma, you must know the topic properly. Otherwise you will confuse it as meaning you. It could mean Paramatma. So unless you are trained properly to read the Vedas, you will make mistake, which is what's happening to a lot of people. They think Atma refers to them, and so they are Vishnu, they think. Or when you do, if you have no knowledge and you do yoga, and you meditate inside, then you see, the soul then opens his eyes and he sees the super soul. So then instead of thinking he is seeing super soul, he is thinking, I am seeing my true form, I am Krishna. So that's where the problems come in. Unless you have knowledge, you don't understand. Because when you really open your eyes, it's the soul looking at the Paramatma. But he misidentifies and says, I am Paramatma. And then the Paramatma are also very smart. Say, okay, you can think like that. But we pay the consequences. So that's why a lot of people get this confused. But try to understand, when the creation is started, the Vishnus expand. From Mahavishnu, he expands to Garbhodakasha Vishnu within each universe. And from Garbhodakasha Vishnu, infinite number of Shirodakasha Vishnu expands. And each of these Vishnu goes into the atom, inside the atom and outside the atom, and in between the atom. And then he goes into the hearts of all the living entity. All the jiva he'll follow to guide them back. That is the mercy of the Lord. So there's a super soul in your heart, there's a super soul in your heart, there's a super soul in your heart. That is the mercy of the Lord. And he's also in Shvetadvip. Within this universe, there is a Vaikuntha planet called Shvetadvip. And that is where he's staying there also at this moment. So he's there, he's in your heart, and he's everywhere. Can you understand that? Very difficult. This is called Achincha Shakti. It's inconceivable what he does. And because with this present body and mind, it is not capable of comprehending this kind of information. So we don't try too much. We just say, okay, for now, let me just progress to that spiritual level. When you purify yourself, you come to spiritual level, then you understand spiritual matter even better. And that depends on the mercy. So that's very important to know.
You seem to have read my mind. Anyway, I'll go and ask the question. No. Given all these problems, suffering, why the soul is created first of all? What is the purpose?
The original purpose was for us to help Krishna's pastime. But because we are individual, and then we have our own capacity to think, we decided to enjoy it independent of Krishna. We became envious of Krishna, basically. Just like when you have your son or daughter, you tell them, I don't want you to do those things, but just do this. But then they secretly go and do something nonsense. Then when you find out, you get angry, right? The same way Krishna tells them, created them for a specific reason, but they didn't want to do that. So then that becomes an incompatible situation in the spiritual world. So they cannot exist there. So to help them rectify that consciousness, he immediately, instantly transfers them to this creation. So that they understand that this is not what I really want. Because you want to enjoy? Okay, enjoy. See if you are happy. We cannot truly be happy because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So therefore we will only be fully happy when we are with Krishna. So that understanding must be realized. Alright, continuing. Text 21. Veda vinashinam nityam Vyayenam majam avyayam Katam sa purusha pata Ramdatayati hantikam. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? So he's challenging Arjuna. If you really know this, the proper understanding, then why are you thinking you're going to kill your grandfather and teacher? So you shouldn't be thinking like that. Right? How can a person who knows the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, will kill anyone or cause anyone to die? So basically we should understand that we should never commit violence to any living entity, and the only time we can use violence is to protection of a person or yourself, or to make sure that you are protecting the dharma. That's the only time you do, or under the guidance of a higher authority. When you do it under that circumstance, there's no sinful reaction. But if you do it thinking you can kill someone, then there is sinful reaction. So unless we know this knowledge properly, then we do not know how to apply it properly. The utility, the principle behind that utility, we don't know how to apply. So if there's complete knowledge, then we know how to use things correctly. The same way, who decides this? The decision is based on Krishna's revelation, or someone who is elevated in consciousness. They can guide us so we can utilize this body correctly. So then, as I also said, about the judge. So here, Prabhupada writes also in this purport, although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, the justice of peace cannot be blamed because he orders violence to another person according to the codes of justice. In Manu Samhita, the law book for mankind, it is supported that a murderer should be condemned to death, so that in his next life he will not have to suffer for the great sin he has committed. So generally, if somebody kills someone, According to Vedic culture, Manu Samhita, you just kill them also as a punishment. Because to kill another living entity, it creates a greater violence. So if they are not punished in this life, the next life they suffer tremendously. Okay? So therefore it says, you just punish them so they get rectified in this life. But nowadays, you can kill so many people and say you are insane, and then they'll say, okay, you can go home. And that's what's happening all over the world. They think capital punishment is not good. But they don't understand that they are actually creating more problems in the long run for that individual. Instead of helping that individual progress in his, to purify him from his sinful reaction, we are actually helping him to commit more sin. So we should be able to understand this carefully. And then another example Srila Prabhupada gives is the surgeon using the knife. In the hands of a murderer, the knife is a dangerous weapon. Right? But in the hands of a surgeon, the knife is healing. It actually makes the life live better. Give life to somebody by saving one's life. So, to summarize, Arjuna is killing for the principle of religion, dharma. So when the Supreme Lord orders violence, it is for supreme justice. Okay? And for administration of justice, violence is sometimes permitted because anyway, the soul cannot be killed. That is, these points are made by Krishna to Arjuna. Okay? Any comments? Otherwise, text 22. Vasansi jinna niyata vihaya navani grinati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jinnani anyani samyati navani dehi. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. This is the changing of body. So he's giving an analogy of how the soul actually changes the body. And this is a very good example. You can use it in your discussion with people who want to know about how does the soul change body. So this is one way. The first one was in text 12, right? When he says, Deino asmin yata dehi komaram yavanam jara. One goes through the different, that's the first. This is the second time he's saying how the soul, death is simply a change of clothing, you can say. Because this is just to re-emphasize Arjuna's lamentation about Bhishma and Drona are going to die and lose their bodies. Krishna is saying, so what, let them lose their bodies because they will get new bodies to enjoy. So why are you lamenting? Now in the modern society, or the scientists in fact, they also accept, as I mentioned again, and Srila Prabhupada also talks in the purport, that the human body undergoes changes from boyhood to childhood to youth to old age. And they also accept that the heart is the source of all the energies. And we understand that the soul is in the heart, which is actually providing the energy for the heart. When the body is destroyed, when you die, the soul is transferred to another body by the grace of the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul. The Super Soul follows the individual soul to the next body. So by his sanction, under the purview of him, the material nature provides a new body, using the template from the subtle body. See, whatever you are thinking now and desiring, you are creating a subtle body. So that becomes a template for the next body. and then the soul is forced into that body based on further karma, on all the previous karmas. Oh, this is due, this sinful this, bija, kuta, all those reactions are coming to fruition. So at this stage, you will get this body. So maybe you get a nice body minus one eye, or maybe like that. Sometimes you see strange things, but that's what it is. Your reactions take fruit. So it is by the grace of the Lord. The Lord sanctions, and the material nature provides the body. And the other thing is based on your past karma and desires, and of course we already understood the two birds on a same tree, the super soul and the soul. So that is the other thing. So the Lord is trying to tell his friend, don't eat this fruit of this tree because it is forbidden, or it will create more problems. But you don't listen. You just turn around and continue eating the fruits of this tree. So therefore you are forced to take another body like that. So we are forced to change bodies because we are not establishing our original relationship. You understand? This is the original Krishna and us. That's the real relationship. But because we are not trying to establish that, then we are forced to take another body, based on our selfish desires. So that's basically what Krishna is telling Arjuna, to overcome lamentation and material compassion. He's telling Arjuna, don't lament for the body change of your old grandfather and his teacher. Rather, you should become happy that they will get a new body. And they will be cleansed of all the reactions, because in this battle, which is righteous, they will give up all the bad reactions they have when they are killed. So Krishna is assuring him of that. So continue on the discussion, text 23. Nainam chindanti shastrani Nainam dahati pavakaha Na chainam kledayantyapo Na sosayati marutaha. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. They will continue. These are all again characteristics. Text 24. Achedyoyam adhayoyam akledyo shoshya evacha Nitya sarvagata stanur Achaloyam sanatana. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. Is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. I will go back to that. Text 25. Avyaktoyam achinchoyam avikadyoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanusochitum arhasi. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So from text 23, Krishna is mentioning more qualities of the soul. Particularly, the emphasis is eternality, that we are still eternal. And the soul is unbreakable, insoluble, cannot be burned, cannot be dried, and is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable. So, no matter what kind of weapons you use, because in those days they can use, in the war, they can use water weapon, air weapon, and so on, light, electricity, all kinds of weapons, nuclear weapon. So Krishna says, you can't destroy the soul using any of these weapons. It's indestructible. Cannot be broken by anything. So, whether the weapon is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, doesn't matter. It cannot actually destroy the soul. The body, yes. A living entity living in a certain body, yeah, you can kill the person. But the soul is never dead. It's alive. You just go looking for the next body or transfer to the next body. That's how it works. What we are seeing from this gross level is the interaction of all the living entities on a gross level. But on a subtle level, there's other forces acting behind us we can't see. So as soon as the soul dies, these subtle forces will grab and put him somewhere else.
A thought just came to my mind.
Yeah.
So when a wife dies,
Yes.
and the husband grieves,
Yes.
and always says, well, I just can't wait until it's my turn to die so
Yeah.
that I can be with my
Okay.
wife. He's not going to be with his wife.
No.
She's already in another body.
Yes.
Gone.
Yes. That's right. That's right. Unless she is so attached to her husband, so she hangs around like a ghost.
Is it possible?
Yeah. You don't want to be a ghost. It's possible, yes. But you don't want to.
If someone's crying and crying and crying because somebody has passed away,
Then it's a waste of time.
could they be crying? Could the other person that passed away be crying through them?
No. No. This is attachment. This is very grossly attached to that body, that person. And this is also due to lack of understanding that the soul has passed on. You don't know where the person has gone and taken birth.
But you can still pray for that soul.
Yes, you can pray for this. We talked about that. Pinda and all those things. The best is to just pray for them. Okay?
The soul, does it wander around or immediately go into another body? Like, is there a gap?
I haven't got time to wonder. No. Generally, it is said, it varies depending on the individuals or maybe their karma. Anywhere from 3 seconds to 3 days it's possible. Sometimes if the soul is very attached, it can hang around here for 3 days or 4 days. That's why in the Vedic culture we burn the body. Because if he's so attached to his family and his body, he hangs around. So when he burns the body, the attachment is gone. Then he can move on and take another birth. Or if he doesn't want to move on, then he remains a ghost haunting the place. Yeah. But in general, most people will be immediately transferred by the material nature and the servants of Yamaraj. Or if you are devotee, then Krishna takes care of it.
Does your karma decide if you're going to become a ghost, or you'll be immediately, your soul will go into another body?
Ghost is a body also, but it's more ethereal. It's a ghost body. He'll be given that body. It'll manifest for him.
But is that determined by your karmas?
It is determined by your desire, your strong attachment to your house, it's so strong, or you die a violent death where you're so scared and then you die, but you're attached to so many things, then you take birth as a ghost.
Or do those ghosts always stay ghosts, or?
No. The ghosts, as I said previously, they are hurt. I said Lord Shiva takes care of them. Yeah. So he coaches them to come back from that kind of consciousness, but normalizes them. He's like a psychologist, so he helps them to come back normal, and then they take birth in the body, the gross body.
So it's a temporary state.
Everything in the material world is temporary. Ghost body, you can live for 100 years in the ghost body also. 1,000 years. Yeah, possible.
Still temporary.
Still temporary. That's where are we? 26, 25. No, I'm still talking about 23, 24, 25. Yeah. So now the Mayavadis who always say that we are all one, they cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance. Because they say we are all here and we became ignorant. We are actually the Supreme Brahman, but we became ignorant. But they cannot tell you how you became ignorant. They don't know how to explain. And then they cannot tell you why the individual soul separated from the Supreme Soul. Right? They cannot tell you that. They don't have that in their books. They will avoid that. We have to understand we are always eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. Part and parcel means what?
Subset of
Subset of the whole. That means we become more complete when we are part of that whole. So if we are not part of that whole, we are always unhappy. That is our position. It's like a fish. If you take a fish out of the water and give it gold coins or $1 million, you think the fish will be happy? You say, just put me back in the water. The same principle. We will never be happy in this material. Because this is not our real world. Our real world is the spiritual world. Okay? So therefore we are part and parcel of the Lord. We need to be with Him. But because we are so small, infinitesimal, we are easily covered by the material nature. And the material nature can influence us a lot. So therefore we are influenced by the illusory energy, thinking I am the body, I need this, I need that, all those. And this covering gets stronger and heavier when we give into it. As soon as you take up the process of devotion life, there is a battle. You are declaring war with material nature. So she will put traps to catch you. Because that's her job, to make sure when you go back to the spiritual world, you have no more material desires. So therefore she will give you all kinds of allurement. What about this? Oh, it's okay. Just do it one more time. One for the road. Like that. But we have separated from the Supreme Lord. Just the example Prabhupada gives is like when you make wood in the fire, you see sometimes sparks fly off. So as long as that spark is within the fire, it is always glorious, it can burn. But when the spark gets out of the fire, it loses its potency. So the same way when we are out of Krishna's realm, we lost our happiness and our true nature. So we are suffering because of that. So these points you should appreciate and understand nicely. So again and again, Krishna is telling Arjuna that we are eternally atomic particle, we are spirit, we never change, we are not soluble. It's not that you take water and mix the soul and he dissolves. We don't do that. So you cannot, our nature is existing eternally. You cannot change it no matter what. That's another amazing aspect of the soul. Okay? It's something you cannot bend or twist to your will. No, he's always existing as spirit soul. Now, within the body, he is like covered by ignorance. His true form will be revealed when he takes up spiritual life. So, in the spiritual world, he will have a physical spiritual body of Satchit Ananda. And that body will be most suitable for him to serve Krishna the way Krishna and he likes. So he could be a cow in the spiritual world, he could be a gopi, he could be a gopa, he could be a father, uncle, like that. So there's so many relationships we can have in the spiritual world with Krishna.
Is there a way to change names?
We changed name for the reason that we want to remember Krishna. For example, your name is Gabe. So when your spiritual master will give something similar, for example, he'll say your name is Gayatri Devidasi. So you remember Gayatri was chanted, it's an expansion of Krishna when he blows the flute. So then you're always thinking of that Krishna's pastime. So you're always connecting to Krishna. And then he'll give you the last word, Dasi. Dasi means maidservant, or I am a servant of Krishna. So whenever we think our name, we realize that we are just servants of Krishna. And that's the reason for the change. But you will have a particular spiritual name when you go back to the spiritual world also. It may not be the same. Krishna will call you by that name and you will respond. Because we already have our names and everything, it's just that it's all covered. And this process of sadhana bhakti will revive your original consciousness. Don't you want to find out? Yeah, so then you have to start doing it. Yeah, it is cool actually, when you think about it. The other point in text 24 is that the spirit soul is known as sarvagata. That means all pervading. What it means, sarvagata means, is within the entire universe, there's living entities everywhere. It's in the sun planet. The sun planet is hydrogen, helium, all burning. Still a living jiva can live there because he has a body of fire. Similarly, if you go into the ocean, there are living entities in the ocean because they have a body suitable for living in the water. Just like us, we have a body made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, gross material body. So there are many living entities. Just around the atmosphere of this planet, there are living entities living there. You can't see them, but there are living entities. So, sarvagata, everywhere the living entity can live. Even in hot springs, in volcanic springs, they have seen fungus or bacteria growing. So, the living entity can live anywhere. No problem. It's just that he needs to get a particular body to live. Right? So that is the point that Krishna wants us to understand. So whether it's water, air, land or in fire, the living entity can live with a particular body. Okay? Next.